Dobrý deň, sledujete reláciu Portrét. Mojím dnešným hosťom je pôvodom argentínsky spevák, ktorého svet považuje za jedného z najlepších tenoristov. O jeho všestrannej umeleckej osobnosti hovoria kritici so zatajeným dýchom. Jeho koncerty, či už pod holým nebom pred tisíckami divákov, alebo v divadle či opere, kombinujú árie, úryvky z populárnych diel pre orchester, pričom tie ostatné často sám diriguje. Hosťom dnešného Portrétu je Josém Curom. Welcome.
Thank you, Andrea.
You had to have a big heart to believe that you can become an opera singer.
To believe you can become an opera singer today is kind of naive thing in the world we live. But it was not so bad 25 years ago when I started, when still the fact of being an opera singer was a very almost philosophical achievement.
For yourself?
Not for everybody. The fact of becoming an opera singer was, wow, you're an opera singer. But today the system has changed so much. Everything it's upside down. Everything has become, the show business has become so superficial. Then to be an opera singer for many people doesn't mean a lot today, because the status of kind of legend that was around the opera singers 30, 40 years ago has been lost today. But that has been lost also for almost every art discipline.
So how difficult it was for you to stay on the top?
You can be put in the top of the mountain with a helicopter, but this doesn't mean that you made muscles by climbing the mountains. I mean, the first wind you're down, and that is what is happening when we were talking before. On the contrary, if you climb the mountain with your muscles, sooner or later you get there. But when you get there, you're so strong that it's very difficult to put you down. And that's the difference between what happens nowadays and the past. But for me to stay on the top was an everyday challenge, because people ask me, why did you create your own company? Mm-hmm. And I said, because there are two ways to be in the supermarket. You can be in among the big bunch of products, yeah, and you're one more, or you could be in the stand of the dog products, which is we call in Italy the dog products from whose origin is being controlled and authentic. Mm-hmm. But for that you need to be your own man.
Yeah, you own your own brand.
Own your own brand and take your own decisions. In the beginning of my career, I was promoted and sold as the sex symbol of the opera or things like that, which was horrible. I said, I'm sorry, I've been studying 20 years of my life, and I don't want to be sold as a piece of flesh. What is this? And they said, yeah, but in that way you will make it faster and we make big money. And I said, okay, but I have the money I need. I want to have also the respect I want, because I'm an artist. I'm not just a piece of something. And eventually I got a gray and a belly, so the sex symbol thing stopped. And now people say, oh,
they would find another label.
But he's an artist now, and it's okay. So I was tired because of all this, and I decided to take my own way. It was not easy in the beginning, because when you fight against the system, you become persona non grata, because if you manage, then you prove that another way is possible. And there are many ways that are possible, and the proof is that I survived.
How much important it is for you to feel that the audience is on the boat, in quotes, with you?
It's absolutely important. I used to make an analogy which had put me in troubles a lot, but I will repeat it again, because for me it's a very clear analogy. A show is like an act of love with two partners: the artist, or the stage as one concept, artistical concept, and the public as the other side of the equation, both lovers. So there are two ways to have a love affair: loving each other, enriching each other with each other energy,
yeah, or
just using each other only for artificial pleasure. In that sense, you stop being an artist and you are simply a professional, which is a very close synonym to a person who makes sex just for money. It's a hard analogy, but it's true. When you go on stage and you give your love to the audience, and in the minute after you receive the love back,
it comes back.
It's a miracle of a night. When you give your love, and love doesn't come back, then you say, okay, I'm a hooker tonight.
Mm-hmm. How do you notice? Do you question yourself? Who am I being? So this is happening. Why it doesn't work?
There's no answer. It's just something you feel.
You feel?
You feel it. And when it happens, it's magic. I have to say that I am very lucky because 9.5 out of 10 times I always have this kind of nights, because when I go on stage, immediately the minute after, I public understand that I am there for them and that I'm going to give my best no matter how I feel, because that's another thing. You may feel better or not. I mean, we are not machines. But that's one thing that never changed, and doesn't have to do with the fact of feeling healthy or not, and it's the commitment. And in that sense, it's nice to have long-term relationships with publics. When you work in theaters for 15 years, 20 years, and this public have seen you as a baby artist, growing up, and together with the maturity of the artist, maybe losing your hair or getting white or getting a belly where there was not a belly. I mean, so seeing the process of the person and the artist in parallel. And you create
being with an old friend.
Yeah, and you create a beautiful relationship with the public, because when you go on stage, you go on stage for people that know you very well. And you can have magic nights even when you are not feeling good, because the public knows that you have given them so many great nights feeling good, that if that day you don't feel good, they love you the same. And it's a magic chemistry, you know.
Do you like to experiment on a stage?
In which sense?
Like experiencing with your acting, with your singing, always finding out new things to do.
I'm always doing that.
Yeah?
I'm always doing that. And
so it's not the similar experience and the similar man
No.
stage.
I am completely unpredictable on stage.
Oh,
but
directors must love you.
But not irresponsible. It's not synonym.
In that connection, that's important. So they can rely on you.
That the fact of being a long-term professional allows me to do on stage many things, because I'm always alert everywhere. And when I do take a different path or a different thing, it's only never before knowing that everybody understands what I'm going to do, what is going to happen.
Are you self-confident enough to be not too self-critical?
A lot. That's my self-confidence has been misunderstood a lot with arrogance.
People mismatch it. They think.
Yeah, because the line between self-confidence and arrogance is very subtle. And we live in a world of sheeps, where somebody says something and everybody goes, "Bah."
You mean followers?
Yeah.
Instead of thinkers.
Exactly. I mean, people say, "Bah." Nobody says, "Wow." And when you stand, you say, "Wow." They have to kill you before that wow becomes bigger. Mm-hmm. So you just shut up and go, "Bah," which is better. And that's the main thing of internet, which can be great, but it can be also a big bah thing. And when you stand and you say your things and listen, I think this is the way it should be, or at least that's the way I think it should be, and you're an arrogant. And my mama told me once one thing, and he said, "Listen, my son, there's one way of proving an arrogant wrong. Ask him to do well that thing that he always says he can do very good. Oh. If he can do it, he's not an arrogant, he's a self-confident. If he cannot do it, he's an arrogant because he's a bluff." That's the only way to uncover an arrogant from a self-confident.
Yeah. Do you think that your family put a good base for your career? Did they play instruments? Did they live with music?
Well, my father played the piano, but was nothing like being a pianist. I mean,
He was an accountant.
My father was an accountant and a professional financist and things like that, but nothing to do with the music as a form of art. He played the piano as anybody could play the piano, the guitar, just for the pleasure and things like that. But yes, they put a good base on me, but it has nothing to do with the music. It has to do with the moral structure and values of my person, which is more important than the music itself. Because when you plant an art on a bad ground, then it doesn't take you anywhere.
I guess you had to find your way, because I read that you did many things in your life. First of all, you did a lot of manual work. I've heard that you've been bodybuilding, you've been an electrician, you are able to repair and to do whatever on a house. It's not a problem for you. And I guess I'm looking at your hands if it's true or not, but I guess it is. So you've been searching for your way, how to become a singer. Was it easy for you or difficult?
Was very difficult, thank God. Yeah. Easy is synonym of sometimes of impossibility of giving the proper value to the results. So I like the fact that it was very difficult.
Did you like the journey of searching, of trying?
Yeah, I wouldn't change anything.
Why it was worth?
Because when you're an artist, you are supposed to be somebody who has something to say. And to have something really serious to say, you have to leave.
To have this blooded experience of everyday life.
You have to really have a rich life. And if your life has been from a golden cradle to a palace, and from the palace to the great car, and from the great car to the great restaurants, and blah, blah, you have nothing to tell. You're stupid. But if your life have gone through serious things, if you have had in your hands people dying, if you went through all that, then you wonder, when you're on stage, maybe you cannot tell exactly what's going on, but just something is going on there.
You can sense it.
The intensity of an artist on stage is not only the result of his personality, but the result of all his background, which at the reality is the result of the background, so it's a mixture.
Do you get enough stimulus today?
In which sense?
Like spiritual stuff, meeting new people, happening new things, living a rich life. My guessing is, I'm sorry I'm interrupting you, my guessing is that you travel a lot, you spend most of the time studying or performing, switching one hotel to another hotel.
But that depends on your, how can I tell you, on your curiosity, on how much you want or you believe about what you are. And I mean, people say, oh, your life is very easy, just caviar, champagne, limousines, and that's it. And I say, well, you may be surprised by the great majority of the days of my life when the show finishes and I go to my room and I ask for a room service and I watch some movie until I get asleep. I mean, that's the life, the real life of the artist is that. And trust me, I love it, because there's nothing I hate more than finishing an intense night in an Otello, for example, and then having to go for a big party where you have to smile to everybody, and when you have to pretend to be the sunny boy everybody expects from you, instead of having this great emptiness, almost post-coitum emptiness after a big show.
Where do you find your spiritual, cheerful joy in these days?
The main battery to recharge myself all the time is the extreme richness of all the disciplines I'm doing. For example, I just finished writing a book about a character who is an actor who starting the role of Othello, finishes in a manicomee, and etc., etc. And his life is mixed with the life of the character, and together he meets an African who had the same troubles, etc., etc. Very complicated psychodrama.
You're writing a novel.
A novel, yes. And I just wrote that novel. I don't know if ever it's going to be published, but I wrote it as a necessity of putting on the paper all the immense number of feelings and thoughts and struggles that creates the fact of doing such a huge role like Othello. And being myself somebody from outside the European community, which today is very easy to say, but 20 years ago when I came to Europe, I was an outsider.
But writing, you have to have a discipline. Do you find time and the discipline for that?
You'll be amazed of how I work. And every minute of my life belongs to a different activity, and I manage to do everything, and the results are good. So, but sometimes it's crazy, and my wife gets mad at me a lot because said, "What are you doing? You just finished one thing, and you're doing another thing, and now you're doing another thing. Are you ever gonna stop?" I said, "Yes, when I die."
Do you still compose?
A little. I don't compose now. The last time I composed was in 2007 when I finished a cycle of songs based on Pablo Neruda's poems, and but I'm not composing now. I have no time, no time. I mean, if I were Mozart, probably I would compose between breakfast and lunch, and 3 symphonies in a row. But I'm not that genius. I mean, I am just a guy who likes to compose, who has the skills to do so. But it's more important the capacity of analyze that knowing how to compose gives me than the composition itself.
Then you understand the structure of what you're doing. You have a son. At his age, you told me he's 23.
Mm-hmm.
At his age, professors and teachers ask him, what's going to be your major? If you have to think about your talents, photography, writing a novel, composing, conducting, singing, give me more. There are lots of them. Playing 6 instruments.
I'm a painter.
Okay, if you think about this multi-skilled personality of yours, what would be your major?
Oof. Probably, I don't know which is my major. I will tell you which I would like to be my major, and it's to die one day knowing that I have been the father and the husband that my family expected. Everything else is only a parallel thing, a complement, a way of earning your life, but it's not your life. If I can achieve that, then I'd be happy at the end of the day.
Because it has to be many, many hours of working.
It is.
And it's the same with us.
I have been with my wife now.
A day.
We met, I was 16 and she was 15. It was 1979. We are together since. And you know why? We keep on fighting like the first day, which is great.
You're fighting?
Like the first day, which is great. It's when you stop fighting when the whole thing finishes. Because that means, okay, I say always yes to you, you say always yes to me. That means we don't give a shit of each other. And that's okay, but when you keep on fighting, it's good.
What is the challenge for you today? Tell me. What is still challenging?
So many challenges, but the biggest challenge is to run away. I've been doing it all my life, and it has not been very easy. Is to run away from being a mediocre. That's the only thing really makes me afraid. I'm not afraid of working like hell. I'm not afraid of dangers. I'm not afraid of facing destiny or things like that. But to be a mediocre, it's something that has always made me mad.
What is the risk? What is the feeling behind that? What are you afraid of if you would become one?
No, but for me to be a mediocre doesn't mean to be an average person. To be an average person is part of accepting your destiny as a human being. But to be a mediocre is knowing that you can do something, knowing that you have that in front of you, knowing that you are capable, knowing that you have that talent, and do not doing it because you're afraid of what people will say. People used to say to me, why do you do so many things? And they criticized me a lot because of that. And I said, listen, I cannot help it. It's not that I say, okay, I stand up today and say, okay, who am I going to make upset today? I cannot help it. And I do it rather well. I mean, I'm not a genius. I'm not the best director or the best conductor or the best singer. But what I do is honest and it's good. So why not doing it? You know what? At the end of your life, if you believe in, call it God, call it whatever, call it Creator, you have to face Him and explain what the hell did you do with your talents, you know? And so in any case, you lose, because or you face your equals and you fight because of using your talents, or at the end of your life, you explain God that you didn't use your talent because you were afraid of what your equals were going to say. Mm. So in a way or another, you lose because you have to fight with somebody. I prefer to fight with my equals because with God you lose. So if you're going to fight with somebody, fight with your equals.
It has to be hard for your kids to see a dad like that.
I don't know. I mean, my kids
having such a role model, it's very demanding. Because it's your nature, but it doesn't have to be your children's nature.
No, of course not. And on the other hand, I'm very temperamental, and sometimes I shout at home and be why, so when my kids have some of my characteristics, I say, listen, with all the good things your daddy have, why the hell are you just picking up the only one I don't like? But so you never know with kids. But for sure, they are three great kids, and what's more important is know what they're going to be in their lives.
We do listen to politicians, we do listen to people who are managing money, and many times they sense that art, it just costs money. Who the hell needs it for an everyday life? I would like to hear you, what you think. Why is it
it's
important?
very simple. I think as myself as being a terrorist of beauty.
Yeah.
I strongly believe in terrorism in that sense. I mean, to be a terrorist of beauty is a great thing. To fire beautiful notes to people, to explode bombs of aesthetical beauty, that's artistic terrorism, and we need a lot of that. And that's the role of art, I think. Remember that through the times, apart from extreme situations like military regimes or things like that, since we know, since the old times, the governments have been brought down by the artists, by the poets, by the writers. When you want to destroy a civilization, the first thing you need to do is to castrate the artists, because those are the only ones, the real ones, not the ones you cannot buy. The real ones, the definition of artist, the real bohemian, who doesn't care if he has to live with bread and onion and water,
and he has a feeling he has nothing to lose.
Nothing to lose, provided that he can say what he thinks. Those are the ones you have to destroy if you want to control a society. That's why a lot of rulers said that art is not necessary. Maybe it's not necessary for them, or it's dangerous for them, because the more stupid the society, the more easy you can drive them from the nose.
Do you trust the young generation, the generation of your son? Do you think they still have enough of ideals?
I trust them in the sense that they are full of that energy that I still have, because I consider myself very naive in that sense. I'm still fighting like if I were a teenager. But I trust them in that sense, but I'm very worried because the generation of my kids are growing up with the 10% of the human contact we had. In our times, A man
like
needed
real
to face
contact,
a man
touching,
a man
seeing
needed
each
to
other.
face a woman and to say, "Honey, I love you," or "Honey, it's
And
the
not
end."
put as a status on a Facebook.
Exactly.
Yeah?
Honey, it's the end. Our relationship is finished, and you have to have the guts to say it into their eyes. Today you send an SMS, and it's done. And that worries me. You see these kids. You go and I don't know. The fireworks at the end of the year, San Silvestre, amazing fireworks. And instead of being there enjoying the fireworks, they're all watching the fireworks through the little screen of the cell phone because they are filming the fireworks. So you don't enjoy the fireworks, you just see them there. We are growing up kids that don't have human contact. How are you going to stand up in the deputy, how do you call it here, the senators thing, or where you have the political discussions in the parliament? How are you going to stand up and fight for your ideas if you have grown up fighting for your ideas behind a pseudonym in internet? How are you going to have the guts of standing up and fighting for your ideas with your face, with your name, and in front of other people? That makes me very worried. But apart from that, I think that generation the world is in the hands of that generation. We have inherited the world we have from our parents. We have to say that apart from the individual things that they have done to us, as a concept, the generation of our parents didn't leave us a great world. We are in the middle of fixing it, but it takes a lot of time, so we will spend all our lives trying to fix it. And probably the first benefits will go to our kids. So the hope is there.
You're going to turn 50.
Very soon.
Very soon.
My God. Yeah, these are not painted.
Does it bother you, the physical age?
No. As I said the other day, you become old when you stop dreaming.
But you're still dreaming.
And I will be dreaming until the end of my life, and there's no way to kill me in that sense. But I have to say, having been a sportman, an almost professional sportman, and waking up this since 2 or 3 years, and waking up in the morning and going, oh my God, and you get to the shit, and you stand up, and your knees are hurting, and your back is hurting, and only 1 hour afterward, the whole machine
starts to work properly.
You say, okay, now I feel good. I mean, that's a bad feeling, but apart from that, getting old is great.
Because I would like to wish you at the end of the interview, so you have still always enough energy to being authentic, facing whatever comes to your way, risk it, just deal with it. Being in the real world, because it's worth it. So I wish you, God bless you, a lot of happiness and a lot of luck in that journey.
Thank you very much. I think God gave me a lot of happiness. I always said I worked a lot to get where I am, but I consider myself a very lucky guy and a privileged one to earn my living by doing this beautiful job and to having these beautiful meetings and knowing people. And I always said, God, you're giving me so much. I hope one day you don't decide to pass me a very big bill, because that could be the other way, you know.
The judgment day.
Yeah, here's the bill. And I'm waiting for that day, and I hope it's not going to come very soon.
I hope the end will be a happy life.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your interview. Thank you. Dámy a páni, našim dnešným hosťom v relácii Portrét bol José Curom.
Wow.